From ABC News, family of Los Angeles woman shot in vehicle calls for justice, alleging inaction by a deputy. Rajanette Morgan, 22, was shot in her car and later died of her injuries. And this sounds absolutely terrible. Who knows what was really going on? But California has clearly become an absolute madhouse. So maybe you should let scumbag, greaseball, bang your wife, Governor Gavin Newsom become president of the entire United States. And also, calls for justice. What does that mean? You want money? You want people to get fired? What are you talking about, calls for justice? And of course, alleging inaction by a deputy. Bro, for years now, you guys have claimed that you didn't need cops, right? You guys are on the record claiming you didn't want cops. Even in New York, which I get is clear across the country, but they quite literally defunded the police by $1 billion, and another $1 billion went to de Blasio's wife, who looks like Flavor Flav, but that's a completely different story. Either way, my name is Eric. This channel is called Report and Opine. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'm absolutely begging you.
I'm begging you, please. Come on, please.
It would help me a lot, and it would cost you absolutely nothing. But if you wanted to help me even more and spend some money, you would buy my book, New York City 2020, Gotham Unglued, on Amazon.com. That link will be in the description. They say, the family of a Los Angeles woman who was shot in her vehicle this week and later died is calling for an investigation into her shooting and what they say was a delayed response by a sheriff's deputy. Okay, this is groundbreaking stuff. I'm sorry. You're telling me that the family of a woman who was eliminated wants them to investigate? Yeah, that's what cops should be doing, is investigating these heinous crimes, which of course you said for several years that you wanted no part of. And this is eerily similar to the family in Oakland, California, who blamed the cops for a slow response time after her former son-in-law was eliminated by thugs. And there's only one side of the story in that particular reporting, which I think goes a little bit deeper, and it might here as well. She was just randomly sitting in her car. I don't know. I am not victim blaming, but this lady was just randomly sitting in her car, and some Los Angeles thugs came up and eliminated her. I don't know what's going on. So true. We do need to investigate this, but for years now, and maybe this family was not part of that at all, but I highly doubt it. When the emotions were running wild and they were talking about fentanyl Floyd clear across the country or halfway across the country, it was enough to get rid of cops everywhere. And now this is what happens, right? 911 in Oakland doesn't work. The cops don't show up. They keep running the same stories on Twitter about how we can't really help you. And if somebody wants to take your money, go ahead and give it to them. This is the result of that. And it really didn't take that long in the grand scheme. Rajanette Morgan, 22, was shot on Tuesday while in her vehicle in a busy intersection in South Los Angeles and died of her wounds at UCLA General Harbor Hospital on Thursday. At a press conference Friday, Morgan's family called for the perpetrators who committed the shooting and sheriff's deputies at the scene, who they accused of calling in a fatality for Morgan and not immediately attempting to assist her, to be held accountable for her death. I got a comment a couple days ago, but like, why do you think they're going to blame the police officers? Because this is what they do every single time. The lady in Oakland says, no, my former son-in-law would still be here if the cops had done something. Oh, the sheriffs need to do something. Bro, you guys quite literally, obviously, told them not to do anything. You didn't need the help. You lambasted them. You embarrassed them. And now you're saying, well, how come you didn't help me? Right? And I've said time and time again that these people hate the cops until they need help. And you see it, you can see it on footage, right? These weirdo protesters. Some of these weirdos, they hate the cops sometimes, right? So if they show up to an event that they're there to protest, they get very angry and cry victim when the cops are called on them. But when a regular, say, journalist or pro-lifer or conservative shows up at one of their weirdo baby-binning sun monster rallies, they are ready, willing, and able to call the cops on them to get them out of there. So it's quite clearly, it is obviously a double standard. And as we know, if the left didn't have double standards, they would have no standards at all. I'm going to demand that she gets justice for what happened to her. And that's another empty term that they use. Same with Julian Castro says, well, we need reproductive justice, all the way back in 2019.
I don't believe only in reproductive freedom. I believe in reproductive justice. What that means is that just because a woman, or let's also not forget, someone in the trans community, a trans female, is poor, doesn't mean they shouldn't have the right to exercise that right to choose.
The same guy who called for free abortions for transformers now says that Bo Biden is a little bit out of touch.
The overwhelming impression that I got from this is that you have a president that's basically in denial. Denial about the decline that people can clearly see. They asked him, well, have you declined in the last 3.5 years since you became president? And he seems to suggest that he hasn't. Denial about the polling, about how far behind, especially as George Stephanopoulos pointed out, in these battleground states, how far behind he is. Denial about the drumbeat of support for asking him to step aside. Now, 4 congressional representatives and Senator Warner as well. He seemed to dismiss that and said, only if the Lord Almighty comes down will I, would I step aside. And then maybe most importantly, and I think the most chilling, when Stephanopoulos asked him, well, what if you lose to Donald Trump? Then how are you going to feel? And President Biden said, well, as long as I gave it my all, that basically that he would feel okay. That's not good enough for the American people.
And I guess he's a little bit more sane than some of the Democrats only because he's from Texas. But my point is, when you've got somebody who's talking about abortions for transformers saying you've lost the plot, maybe you guys have both lost the plot. But all that aside, this whole thing of justice, is that money? What is that code word for? What do you guys actually want? I'm going to demand that justice. She gets justice for what happened to her. You mean you want justice in the form of money? Is that what you're saying? Anjanette Morgan, Rajanette Morgan's mother, said at the press conference that the officers that were involved, they need to step aside or we need some investigation. So you hated the cops for doing their job. They stopped doing their job. And now you hate them for not doing their job and you want justice in the form of money. That's basically what I can tell. And it's just sad. It's just too bad that these sort of stories have become these weirdo political wedge issues that basically they're saying just do it perfectly. But it's a rock and a hard place. The game is rigged. You can't win. And for the last time, I don't want to lambast this girl too bad because she's just a kid. But are we really under the impression that she was just randomly sitting in her car on a busy intersection in Los Angeles and some people came to take her out? I just don't think that's what happened. There have been no arrests made in connection to the shooting at this time, and no description of a suspect was released, according to police. Yeah, well, this is what you signed up for, right? The criminals are quite clearly in charge. In San Francisco, they throw these sideshows, these street takeovers, the Bay Bridge, thousands of people can't get to where they're going. You could quite literally commandeer the cars, but no, we can't really find them. We don't know where they are. So this is what you wanted. This is what you wanted, and you can't really back out now. But, nice fives she's wearing. The shooting has garnered national attention due to a Facebook Live video filmed and posted by a bystander, Dion Leslie Pullen, who spoke at the press conference Friday. From Leslie Pullen's point of view, the video shows Morgan in a white vehicle with multiple bullet holes in the driver's seat. Behind Morgan's vehicle, a Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy can be seen in a patrol car not approaching the vehicle. That's what you wanted them to do. When Leslie Pullen asked the deputy to help, eventually breaking Morgan's car window with her shoe, "She's still breathing. Can we help her?" Leslie Pullen asked the deputy. In the video reviewed by ABC News, a response from the deputy cannot be heard. Leslie Pullen said on Friday that she ducked into a nearby dispensary. Of course, of all things, when tragedy strikes, go to the weed club. She started to hear shots, then stepped out and began filming after the shots ended. Do you know how that feels? To know that she could have been saved? She was smiling. She fought when she got out, Leslie Pullen said at the press conference. So it sounds like maybe she was, I don't know, it's very tough to put the pieces together, but maybe just some random LA thug tried to rob her of the weed she bought from a dispensary or one of her friends or something. Who knows? The sheriff's department said it is conducting a review of the incident to determine if department policies and procedures were followed, according to a statement sent to an ABC station in Los Angeles, whatever. We are deeply concerned about this incident, and detectives are diligently working to solve this heinous murder and bring justice to the family. We extend our sincere, it's an apology. The department said it was initially unclear whether the vehicle belonged to the suspect or to the victim, and the deputy requested assistance. The spokesperson for the department did not immediately respond to ABC's request for comments. The name of the responding deputy has not been released. Ali, and Morgan's family stressed during Friday's news conference that those behind the shooting must be found and held accountable as well. I mean, these are, dude, this is just so pathetic. It is a sad story, but now now it needs to really be taken seriously. You know what else we're going to take seriously is that the illegals, we're going to call them undocumented, and we're going to call chopping the genitals off kids gender affirming care. And this is what you signed up for, right? Maybe you didn't know it, but these are the people you live amongst. And unfortunately, these are the consequences of these. And of course, the political class, they don't care. This all works in their favor. They can create more chaos and amass more power. But this is what you wanted. Again, same exact story in Oakland. Oh, the cops should have done more. For 5 years, you said, do nothing. We hate you. I don't want her death to go in vain, even though she's going to always be here in my heart. That was my only baby. Morgan's mother said she was only 22 years old. And yes, that's true. She was only 22 and did not deserve to go out like that. But when you live in this chaotic hellscape that is Los Angeles, it's just the cost of doing business. And the political regime knows that, right? When Shang Tao's car in Oakland got busted into, that's just the cost of doing business. Now, of course, she's embroiled in a completely different story, but I digress. And my point here is, this is not the exact same, but very similar to the story from Oakland where the lady wearing sunglasses says, oh, the cops needed to do more. So you want them to capitulate to your every whim. You hated them for so long. You defunded them. 911 doesn't work. They should do nothing until we ask them to.